Hey everyone, welcome to a video update that I'm going to be doing on Ethereum. It's been a long time, almost a month since I've done an analysis on Ethereum, so I want to go into this and share an updated chart. But before I get into any of this, of course, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You are responsible for your own trades, manage your own risk, doing your own research. I am just giving my opinion on the market, and I want to give a shout out to Jay's apartment on the server. We have had an influx. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 new members on the Discord server just in the last 24 hours. And if you want part of the action, of course, all you have to do is throw in a comment here in the YouTube chat, and I'll be more than happy to get an invite code out to you. It doesn't cost anything to be part of our community. We do have, of course, perks for those that do support the work that I do, but otherwise, we're just here for the ride. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Ethereum chart. All right, so we've been watching this for quite some time, watching all of the little moves here recently. We've just been kind of consolidating up here, but I want to go back, just real quick back here to mid-March where we had our big sell-off, and just showing that, we don't have a whole lot of clarity on what this looks like right here. It's really hard to get a subdivision on this. It's best to get a 1, 2, 1, 2. That would be extremely bullish. But what I'm trying to map out here is this current move that we've got, as a 1, 2, and then I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, no invalidation here, and then an extension into the 5, which finishes the third. All right, so it took a long time to finish out this third. So what we're looking is to finish the 4. And the thing that I don't like about this is that it's just taken too much time. It's taken too much time. So I want to talk about two different scenarios here, just looking at the amount of time it's taken. So potentially we don't get down here and we actually start to see higher prices. Okay, so we have to acknowledge that possibility that this might be the 4, and then we've had basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish this move. One way or another, I think that this move might be done. I don't know if this is the 5 here, right? If the 4 is back here, which really is a completed A, B, C, right? Well, you could complete a 4 here if you wanted to, and work ourselves to a 1, 2, because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, good subdivision to complete the 1, A, B, C into the 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This really would be the 3, but it hit the algo target. I mean, it hit the algo target perfectly. We rolled back down here to the 382, and what we're doing here is we're measuring the length of our 3, so tagging itself all the way down here, going all the way up here to the top, came back to and consolidated at the 382. We pushed down below, which leads me to believe we want to come down here to the 50, which is about $173. And then, you've got nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this could be a 5 into the A, 3 waves into the B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the C. That also fits, so we could have an expanded flat. And if we have an expanded flat, that means that this is the A going into the B, and then the C is still coming down. We're going in for the 4, wave 4 still. Again, the thing that I don't like about this is that it's just taking way too long for it to happen. It's still possible for us to come up here to 270 before we come back down. Okay, so an expanded flat, you would kind of expect it to go up here to the negative 236, which we tagged perfectly, or potentially to the 382 extension. It still remains to be seen what we do here. But nonetheless, I can still see that we have our A, and let me just clean this out since we've already measured this. I want to clean the chart up just a little bit, and just pointing this out, we had a little bit of a bullish retest there. Okay, so let's just remove that guy. If we're going to measure our wave A here, I'm going to try and get this as close as I can. We've got this right here, okay? So from the top to the bottom, where a potential downside target would be at about 165. But, again, we're kind of keeping an eye above this. Let me flip-flop this. Let me show this in the opposite direction. And this is going to give us an extension target. Okay, extension target would be the 382, and we've continued to grind here at this 382 extension, which is about 246. Okay, let me zoom in here. Okay, so let me get this. All right, so we've got A, B, C into the A, and then 5, 3, 5 here into the B, which we did extend beyond the 382 extension just a little bit, but it's fair to say that we have seen resistance there. And more importantly, we saw resistance there yesterday. We tagged the 382 perfectly at 246. This actually topped out at 246.95, and the 382 extension is 246.83. If you're going to be short, you need to stop on the other side of this wick right here. This is going to be the important wick to use as a stop loss. Okay. So we need to keep that in mind, because what I can see here is we've got 5 waves up. All right, so let's just outline this guy right here. So from here, we've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 to complete potentially an A. Okay, a lot of times we don't know if we're in an A, B, C, or if we're in a 1, 2, 3. And if it's a 1, 2, 3, it means we're going to be going higher. All right, so I think that this is 5 waves up into the A, and then we have 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C to correct this, because after every impulsive move there is going to be a correction. So from here we have an A, B, C here to get down here into this B. All right, let me just flip-flop these real quick. We're going to change the degree on these to make it a little easier to see. All right, and then what do we have? We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish this, potentially finish this. Okay, it is very, very possible that we're in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe we go up to 250. I've been saying for a while that I think that 250 is a real possibility. Okay, so if this C is going to come up here, that's still okay. That's still okay. Here, this 123.6, this is a potential target. Now, 100% equality, right? We talked about equality just yesterday, I believe. We talked about equality on Bitcoin, right? So we've got a 5, 3, 5. So if this is done, we hit 100% equality perfectly. Now, it wouldn't surprise me one bit for us to raid this one more time. I would be setting some sells up here, and I'd be looking to get out on the other side of 250. If we close an hourly above 250, and more importantly, if we open and close above 250, then that would be an indication to get out of any short positions that you're in on Ethereum, okay? But what it looks like right now so far is that we've got an ABC correction, and that this correction is potentially finished. Again, when we're talking about timing, I don't like that this is, this is indicating that the 4 in relation to the 2 is much shorter, right? So typically a wave 4 lasts a little bit longer than a wave 2, which is why I'm more inclined to call this the 3 up here, where we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here into the 3, and then we come down here A, B, C, down here into the 4, potentially coming all the way down to about 240. Okay, so we're not talking about any trades here. If you want trade advice, you need to pop in the Discord. But looking for a move at least back here to 240, then I think we can go up to 250, and I think that's going to be what finishes the move. Let's look at the waves and look at the algo. So what we see here right now, all right, we can see that we've got the hourly trending up, we've got the 3-hour trending down, we have the 12-hour that's currently trending up. Let me look at this. It's so choppy, so choppy. All right, so the 12-hour indicates we are wanting to move up. The 3-hour indicates that we want to move down. The 1-hour indicates, it wants to move up, but the hourly could just be some sideways action, okay? So, in other words, what I think more than likely is going to happen is we're going to see this as an A, B, C into the 4. Okay, so from right here, we've got our A, we've got our B, and we're going to move down here to the C. This is going to be at about a couple hours before the daily close today. Probably is going to pop itself down just a little bit, and then we move on our wave up. So I think it's going to look a little bit like this. So right now we've got from up here, we have our A, we've got our B, come down here for the C, and then we're going to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I think we're probably going to see a bigger rejection to finish our corrective wave, which we've talked about the corrective wave structure coming down a little bit further. Okay, so we've talked about that, how it's going to come down. Let me remove this. This is just me indicating the importance of the 12-hour. So yeah, that 12-hour indicating that we have a little bit more upward movement. But from there, I think we're going to see a lot of confluence where we've got the 12-hour, the 1-hour, and the 3-hour all in overbought conditions. And let me just show you the last time that happened. When everything was in overbought conditions, we had this guy up here. And when we saw them all in overbought conditions, we basically took a move from up here at about 245, 246. Down, we saw a 6% move to the downside. Next time that happened was right here, where we saw this move all the way up here at 253, and we came all the way back down. We saw a 10% move to the downside. Okay, when all of these three things are in confluence with each other, you could argue that we also saw this back here. It was not as exaggerated. Okay, we saw the cross here, and we only saw ourselves come down, maybe 3% before it moved back up. So nonetheless, I do think that we have a little bit more up, even though we're going to chop a little bit. I do think we have a little bit more up to about 250. And from there, I think we start a bigger move down, okay? And that bigger move down, again, I think it's very, very possible that we move our way back down. Oops. We move our way back down to maybe even 175 to create a little bit of a double bottom. For me to continue to be bullish on Ethereum, I don't want to see us cross down below this. And the reason why I say that is Bitcoin can move itself down further in relation to the upward move that we've had. But Ethereum versus Bitcoin, okay, that's something we don't always pay a whole lot of attention to. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, let's just take a look at this guy. All right, so we've also been keeping a little bit of a count on this, and I think that we are in the middle of a larger impulse here. So we had our pullback here, and we talked about this a long, long time ago on the Discord server. Okay, so again, if you want to be part of the Discord server, just throw in a comment in the chat and I can get an invite code out to you. But you can see we've been keeping an eye on this. If I move to say like a 3-hour time frame, you're going to be able to see what we're watching here. Okay, so we have our move down and then we have a 1-2. So basically what I'm thinking is we are in the middle of a larger impulsive move, right? So we've got basically a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're working on our 3, which is, it should be taking us much, much higher. Looking at a daily time frame, I believe that Ethereum has bottomed. I do think Ethereum has bottomed, and I think we are in a path to much, much higher prices on Ethereum. I'm bullish on Ethereum, okay? So I think it's very, very possible that we make our way back up to 0.05 to 0.08. That's a significant upward move, like significant. We're talking like big time. Especially if Bitcoin just stays the same. If Bitcoin doesn't move at all, targeting this area right here seems logical. Let's take a look at this. Let's move down here on a log scale. Okay, see what kind of confluence we have. We have the 618 right there. 0.05, again, seems very, very likely, where we can gravitate up to the 618, which is at 0.05 to 0.06. Okay, very possible this happens. If that happens, then we will see higher prices on Ethereum. I will say that I do agree that we are in a little bit of a sideways movement here. Okay, so it could be that there's something a little different going on based on what we can see here. This could be just an A, B, C, D, and the move down for the E, which would support a move down to 175. Okay. If this is not a 1, 2, 1, 2, this could be just a 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, and then we move up anyway. I still say that the move in the end is going to be up, but don't be a hero trying to catch the bottom. Let's see here. Daniel just put in a comment. Can you talk about if Bitcoin moves, what percent in consequence does Ethereum move? What happens if Bitcoin drops a lot? Okay, well, what it all is going to come back to is the trifecta that I refer to a lot, and that is you've got Ethereum versus the dollar, you've got Bitcoin versus the dollar, and you've got Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So it really matters on what Ethereum does versus Bitcoin. All right, when you see Bitcoin dropping and Ethereum versus Bitcoin going up, like let's just say for instance, you've got this move right here. You've got Ethereum versus Bitcoin moving up significantly. If Bitcoin is dropping, if Bitcoin versus the dollar is dropping while Ethereum versus Bitcoin is going up, depending on how much Bitcoin is moving, you could potentially have Ethereum appreciating in value and not going down in value. Okay. It really, I can't really answer that question with any amount of certainty because it really depends on, it depends on what's happening at that moment. Generally speaking, if Bitcoin goes down, Ethereum is going to go down as well, right? Just speaking in general terms. But if Ethereum versus Bitcoin is moving up, well, that shows that there is strength with that asset, okay? When Ethereum is moving down and Ethereum versus Bitcoin is moving up, then you shouldn't see Ethereum drop as much in relation to how much Bitcoin has dropped. So let me just give an example. Right now, Bitcoin is up 1.87% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum is up 2.26%. All right. Just to put that in perspective, Ripple is only up 0.75% and Bitcoin Cash is only up 1.84%. Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin actually moved up almost the exact same amount, while Ethereum had almost a 0.5 percentage higher move when Bitcoin moved up. All right, let's take a look at this on the hourly. Let's go back to Ethereum versus the dollar. Okay, let's just take a look at this. So moving back here, taking a look at this right here, we can see that there is a drop, spike, drop, up, drop, and a big up. I mean a big up, all right? Let's just take a look at this. Bitcoin versus the dollar. Let's go to Bitstamp and let's just take a look at this. All right? I know there's a lot going on here, so apologies for that. So we've been keeping an eye on this. I was talking about buying here at 92, and I mean it's just perfect. All right, so I'm going to clean this out for you guys so that this is a little easier to see. All right, so Ethereum had, drop, spike, drop, same thing, up, drop, and then a move to the upside, but it wasn't as much. It wasn't as much, and it spiked down quite a bit. So this moved up, 7.3%. And watch, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be wrong, but I don't think I am, because I think that this moved up more significantly. So from down here to up there, okay, we were talking about Bitcoin being like 7% or so, and that is a 9.8% move. Okay, so what happened? Why did that happen? Well, Ethereum versus Bitcoin rose as Bitcoin versus the dollar was going up. So it really just depends on all of the factors, all of the different factors that you've got. And really the best way to see this is to have a chart layout. So let me create a new chart here. We're going to create a new layout, and I just want to show you how you can kind of see all of this. Ethereum versus Bitcoin is on average 2 times more volatile versus Bitcoin in percentage. You could take a look at it that way. Now, I don't think it's always true, but let's create this chart real quick. All right, so I've got Ethereum versus the dollar over here, and let's just go to an hourly time frame. Okay, over here we're going to have Bitcoin versus the dollar, and over here we're going to have Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And let's synchronize all of these with the interval. We want all of these to be on 1 hour time frames. And here you can see Ethereum versus the dollar went up significantly. Bitcoin versus the dollar, went up, in a small way. But take a look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. This went up, right? So right here you can see my you can see my crosshair, how it aligns up on all of the charts. Bitcoin versus dollar went up just a little bit. Ethereum versus the dollar went up a lot in this one candle right here that we're looking at. So this candle right here, look right here. On this particular candle, Ethereum went up 2.11%, while at the same time, Bitcoin only went up 0.72%. Okay, but Bitcoin Ethereum versus Bitcoin went up 1.37%. Therefore, Ethereum versus the dollar went up more significantly compared to Bitcoin. Now let's take a look at a big drop. Okay, let's take a big drop. Let's see here. I want to synchronize the time because I'm going to click on a big drop on Bitcoin here. And we're going to find here. Let's take a look at this guy right here and see what happened in this candle. All right. So what did we have in this particular candle? This big drop right here, Bitcoin dropped 5.64%. Ethereum versus Bitcoin dropped 1.3%. Therefore, Ethereum versus dollar went down 6.31%. So generally speaking, when Bitcoin goes down, alts are going to go down harder, unless it's a super, super strong alt, which is very, very possible. Generally speaking, when Bitcoin goes up, alts, they do have an upward momentum, but I would say 7 times out of 10, you're better off being in Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum, Litecoin, Chainlink here recently, some of these have seen better moves, right? Better moves meaning you've got moves that move more positive in relation to Bitcoin, right? But generally speaking, if it's a low market cap alt, you're going to see a bleed on the asset. So again, looking at Bitcoin, this is a drop of 5%. We went from here 91.16 all the way down to 86, right? So this was a big, big drop, and this was back on April 30th. Well, at the time, Ethereum versus Bitcoin went up 0.5%. So Ethereum actually fared well in this particular case, where Bitcoin dropped 5%, but Ethereum only dropped 4.8%. I mean, honestly, at that point, you'd be better off being in Tether. But let's just take a look and see if we can put this into relation with Chainlink. Link versus the dollar, and I know that I've gone completely off base here, so I apologize for that. So right here, let's just take a look at this. Link versus Bitcoin. Okay, we're just talking maybe a little education on the trifecta. So here, again, we have Bitcoin drop 4.99%. Link versus Bitcoin rose 1.94%. Therefore, Chainlink only dropped 3.19%. So it didn't drop as much as Bitcoin, but it still dropped. Okay. I will definitely make a video on Cardano. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here doing this, but yeah, I guess this is probably the best scenario to discuss this. But again, you see right here where Chainlink was rising, 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 all at the same time Bitcoin was just kind of moving sideways. But right here in particular, I mean, you see that we have Chainlink versus Bitcoin rising 1.98%. At the same time, Bitcoin dropped 0.7%. So Chainlink had a net gain of 1.34%. So you have to look at all three of these things to get an understanding of how strong something is. And once you determine how strong something is, then you can make a determination if it's an asset you want to be in long term. Because if Bitcoin drops, but your Bitcoin trading pair on your altcoin doesn't drop as much, in my opinion, that is a sign of strength. It's a sign of strength, especially if Bitcoin drops and your alt rises. In this particular candle, again, this rose 1.94% while Bitcoin dropped 4.99%. Yes, Chainlink did have a net loss of 3.19%, but in my opinion, that would have been a good time to get in. And it was, right? So if you got in back here at 368, you're able to make a move all the way up here to 390, probably even higher than that. Because we know that Chainlink is currently trading above it's currently trading above $4. So really, again, I mean, obviously you can see that it moved down here significantly, but of course it has moved up significantly since then. It's at $4.80 right now, right? So as soon as this thing broke through $4, I mean, it's just been moving up. We've got a lot of volume on this one. But watch to see what the Bitcoin trading pair does when Bitcoin makes big moves. That's going to be the key for making money in alts. At least through the duration of this year. So watch that. All right, guys, if this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you want to be part of our Discord, just throw in a comment here in the YouTube chat, and I'd be more than happy to get an invite code out to you. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, good evening. Stay happy, stay healthy, and take care, everyone.